Other ways to avoid the cash flow crunch, get some deposits in advance. Depends on the type of job and who you're working with. Got to thinking about, I don't work with them anymore, but I know some people used to work with Coca-Cola as a customer. And those large companies are always the last to pay. You ever had that gut wrenching feeling when the times the bills are coming up and you're trying to decide how you're going to pay them? Cash is not there. Oh, I have, and I'm just guessing you have too. Keeps you up at night sometimes, like, man, how's it going to happen? Now, the good Lord brought me this far, and He hadn't never let me down before, but um, you just got to be patient and plan. Now, the good Lord doesn't give you the money automatically. You got to take care of yourself. Well, what's that mean? Well, I remember a time I have a friend, and he wasn't billing enough. Man, I got to do some billing. I got to do some billing. And I feel his pain because I don't really like billing either. I like getting a check, don't get me wrong. But billing, it's just more paperwork. So he got himself a bookkeeper. That was great. He's paying bills and sending out invoices, except she never invoiced unless he turned the paperwork in. Mm-hmm. So we talked about that. You got to turn that in because you need the money, blah, 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 to make sure everything gets paid. And so what we decided to do, matter of fact, we decided that he wasn't the right person to turn the paperwork in. We need to create a system. There's a lot of systems out there, and we'll talk about that later, but that's just one thing. But the best part, I was talking about fearing making payments, but you ever had that feeling when you made it through a month and made those payments and how refreshed you felt? My wife puts all my mail in a box, and I check it. Now I give it to Elizabeth to check. But the best part is when you get that box empty, and most of it's junk mail anyway, but of course there's invoices in there that you have to pay, and you just got to return the favor by having those invoices in the other person, your client's boxes too. So I got to thinking, well, Chris, what do you do? Well, I used to bill monthly, and that's not enough. I bill biweekly now. Now that's the size of the company that I am. If you're a big enough company, you want to do it weekly. And if you're a really large company, really generating a lot of flow and needing cash flow, you need to bill daily. But then if you're that big, you got a person who's in charge of just invoicing, or department that is. So look at your size of your company, decide what kind of cash flow you need, and run through it. That's the basic part of invoicing. But I've been getting a lot of calls lately about, hey, we're going to finance your company, blah, blah, blah. There's no reason to get a loan unless you need a loan. What I mean is there's good loans and bad loans. Bad loans means nobody else is paying for it. Good loans mean that somebody else is paying for it and the interest involved. I use an escrow account. That's how I do my business. I take that money, I put it in escrow. I don't want it associated with my checking account. I pull out of escrow as I need it. And at the end of the day, what's left over in the escrow account's mine is profit. And we just keep that. I like to have some cash reserve. Some people say, well, Chris, that's great. How do I do that? Well, first you got to make profit. If you ain't making profit, then that's a whole other subject we have to work on. But if you're making profit, put some of that profit away. Whether just like a Christmas bonus program or a Christmas account where you put X amount away for so many months until you get that cash that you need in that savings account for your reserve. And what's important is, and this is where people make a mistake, they take it out, but they never put it back. You got to commit to a certain amount of money. Now, you can do it through a line of credit to a bank, but you're paying interest. And I don't want anybody paying interest when nobody's getting paid for it. That's just an expense. So if you can create your own line of credit and you pay it back to yourself, I'll pay yourself interest if you want. That's just a bonus. But the point is, calculate an amount, keep that amount always on hand. If you take out of it, make sure you put it back. Make sure you're making payments back to yourself to fill that account back up. If you're a small company, 2 to 3 months of operating expenses will be sufficient. If you're a larger company, you can look to 4 to 6 of operating expenses. Keep that on hand. That's your goal number. We talk about creating an invoice system. Now, my buddy, he's doing paperwork, turning papers in. Now he tells somebody, hey, bill that customer. And that happens. And That's great. But I got some electrician friends who, and I'm sure you guys have heard of it or know it as some estimating software like QuickBooks or some other softwares out there that estimate. And they'll also invoice. Takes that estimate you've already done, you're doing it anyway, turns that invoice estimate into an invoice, bam, goes out. And all you got to do is click the button. Now, clicking that button is only good if you're clicking the button. So make sure you or somebody else you've assigned to click the button makes it happen and do that invoice. That way, when you're done with the job, bam, send it off. Other ways to avoid the cash flow crunch, get some deposits in advance. Depends on the type of job and who you're working with. I got to thinking about, I don't work with them anymore, but I know some people used to work with Coca-Cola as a customer. And those large companies are always the last to pay because they have such a large amount in the bank account, they don't want to take any money out because they're getting interest on that. So they're always last to pay. Well, if they're the last to pay, then they need to be the first to be billed. Bill early. If you got a customer who's not paying, who uses all the time they got to pay their bills, bill it as fast as you can. That way the clock's ticking on your 30 days or 45 days, whatever kind of deals you got. I'd like you to take advantage of your billing, bills you pay, that is, your accounts payable. If somebody's offering you some discounts, take it. Well, and if you don't have the cash, okay, let's get to a point where you have that cash and always take it. Take it out of that savings account we're talking about. Pay it. You're going to get a discount, usually 2%. Could be more, could be less, but any discount's better than none. That's just free money, especially when you're not calculating it in when you estimate. So if you're estimating $100 of materials and they're only charging you $95, you got $5 profit. I know I'm simplifying it, but that's the whole point. That adds up from month to month. Do it 12 months. Ask any accountant. They'll tell you the same thing. Take advantage of all discounts. I use a draw system as well. Now I'm building houses and the bank's required, and it's easy to do. And you play it right, you're going to get draws in advance. Now I do it where, okay, here's the draw. Mr. Customer will sign off on it. Will not ask for another draw until that list of stuff's done. But you're getting paid in advance. Don't take advantage of it and don't waste it on something else. I know contractors done that. I've heard horror stories. Now, I've also heard horror stories where the clients, the homeowners, get the money and spend it on cars, trucks, guns, rings. And that's just a few things. And they don't spend it on you. And then you're caught up in the money. So have a good relationship with that bank, understand, and the bank has to understand, and then they know it. It's their house. It's their building. It's their project. If somebody's getting a loan to do a project, it's the banks at the end of the day. They're going to make sure everything's taken care of. So have a good relationship with them. Get that money. Make sure it happens. And we're all here to win and get a good product for the customer. I'm looking at my last on my notes. And I guess the last one would be track where you're at. Don't start too many jobs at once. Now, if you're getting don't start too many jobs at once without deposits, because some jobs you're going to get your money all tied up in other projects, paying materials and so forth, and you ain't got enough money left over for your utilities, your fixed cost, your wages, your labor. You got to pay you guys. You got to keep them happy, because without no guys, you ain't got things going. So kind of keep track of that. Keep track where you're at with your cash flow. If you have a bookkeeper, they should be able to help you figure that out. Definitely an accountant can as well. But get an idea where you're at in the month and how your cash is going to flow through your company. That way you're not getting tied up. So what I want you to do, I want you to start billing sooner. If you don't have a plan, sit down and make a schedule when you're going to bill, whether that's you personally or you sitting down with your bookkeeper and doing it, or you have a good enough bookkeeper that you trust that they bill and give you a report on what they billed out. So you can have an idea what to expect next week or the upcoming weeks. If you can do that, that's great. If you need help, then click that link below. I'll be happy to help you. We can talk about things like that. We can talk about how to save money, how to bill in advance. And if you're not making profits, we can talk about how to make profits so you can have that reserve. Click that link below. This is Chris G, Hard Hatting CEO, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.